You might be wondering why I gathered you all here today. I want to become a dandelion. When it comes to dandelions, I've done it all. I've eaten them, I've drunk them, I've painted with them. Now I need to become a dandelion. How do I do that? How do we do that?
What is the first step in becoming a dandelion? Theoretically, I feel like I should have made a plan for myself, but I didn't. I just kind of had a vague idea of what I wanted and decided to try and bring that into reality. The first thing I did then to follow that vague image in my brain was to create some petals. I did this by taking some paper, sectioning it into little rectangles and cutting them out. I wasn't even sure how many I would need or how many I wanted to use or how big the flower was gonna be. I was literally just a girl with a dream and a vision and the willpower to execute it, I guess. Once I had all my little rectangles, I realized dandelion petals are not rectangular. So I curved one end of every single one of my rectangles in order to gain the essence of the dandelion. Then you might notice the dandelion petals are not white, and the petals I have currently are. So I gathered all of my yellow available to me. I used watercolor yellow for this because the paper I use is watercolor paper. I'm going to be honest, I do think these are a tad on the yellow side. I think dandelions are a little more orangier. But what color is a dandelion anyway? Let me know. Okay, fantastic. We now have a bunch of yellow paper. Except, not fantastic. Paper isn't very strong, and also, I want my dandelion to be really impressive. These aren't going to be big enough. I need some reinforcement, and this is when I went to my cardboard collection. Do you like it? I've spent years gathering it. But I picked out some choice pieces that I really like the look of to turn into even more dandelion petals. This is when you have the thought of how do I get these petals on my face to sit around my face? How do I support them? And I came up with the idea of A, cardboard, because it is a plentiful resource in my barn, and 2, cutting out a square of it to turn into a circle that is going to essentially sit around my face. This is the dandelion donut. And now you get to enjoy something like 40 seconds of me absolutely struggling to use a pair of scissors on some cardboard. I'm really not making this look easy, am I? It's a good thing I switch up on using the scissors on this cardboard because this is painful to watch. Come on, nearly there. We can do it. Always an opportunity to do some more measuring. In this case, I'm trying to find the center of my square because I want to, at this point, make a circle inside it that I can cut out for my face to go in. I decided to go the route of perfect circle to cut out, even though my face is not a perfect circle, because actually measuring my head onto the cardboard seemed way too difficult. And look, I upgraded to a box cutter, which still difficult to use, apparently, but way easier than the scissors. And of course, a quick check to make sure my circle was big enough for my head. So completely arbitrarily, just because I felt like the square was throwing the vibes off, I made it completely circular. Even though in my brain, the future I foresaw for this was that this would be completely obscured by the petals anyway. It needed to be circular, I don't know. Square felt wrong. Anyway, you'll never guess, but we're back to measuring. We're back to measuring out little rectangles to turn into petals, but this time we're going bigger, bolder, better. However, after measuring is not cutting, because I felt I would learn from my mistakes. Last time I cut out all of these petals only to have to go through and paint them all individually. I thought, huzzah! I will paint the whole thing before I cut it out. And this time I wanted to add some colour depth to my painting, so I did each ends in this bright yellow, and then I filled in the middle with this more like orangey shade. So I'm a true artist here. We're getting some realism, okay? I'm gonna be a real dandelion. You're not gonna be able to tell the difference when I'm done. And now is the actual logistics of how it's going to sit around my face. I'm not going to want to hold it there with my hands the entire time. I want it to be able to sit there. So I simply thought I'll tie it around my face. I luckily had some beautiful yellow ribbon that I just pushed through tiny little slits I made with the box cutter, and I just tied knots. I thought I would maybe need to reinforce these with something to prevent them from coming undone or slipping, but that wasn't a problem. This was a really simple, easy solution. Look, perfect. Hands free. Wonderfully, our paint has dried on our cardboard, meaning we can now cut out the petals. Woohoo! Everybody cheer! Or not, up to you. And yet again, we're not trying to make a Minecraft dandelion, so we need to curve one end of all of these. Unfortunately, there's not really a way to expedite this process. So. Finally, all of this preparation is coming together. We can just stick all of these on. I used hot glue because, I mean, it's what I had. It's fast, it was accessible, and other than that one, they all stuck on really well. This process took a little bit of thought because I didn't just follow the circle, I wanted to get these petals as close to my face as possible, so you will see me, you can see here I'm kind of putting these center ones on first, because that's the biggest gap between my face, so I wanted to make sure those hid that gap from the shape of the circle that I made. After I fit as many as I could on the actual cardboard circle itself, I started to layer them on top of the petals that I had already put down. Because, I don't know, I feel like it creates this nice, like, built effect, because obviously dandelion petals don't lie flat perfectly next to each other. They also have this kind of, like, staggering. And so I try to recreate that. Because again, this is real artistry. Trust me, I'm taking this very seriously. Trust the process. Ha ha ha, you thought we were nearly done. Wrong. More petals. More. You guys know the drill by now. Make rectangles, make those rectangles curved on one end. Perfect. This time you might notice, again, I made the same mistake of not painting the cardboard first to kind of speed up the process? No, I realized when I did my big cardboard that painting over it made it really hard to see where I had measured out, and I had done all this measuring and I had to just kind of guess where I'd put it because the paint kind of hid the markings I had made. So I decided to renege on my original. So basically I'm back, same process as we did in the beginning. Yep, nothing's changed. Not forgetting to add yet another shade of orange to the inner level of these petals to add that realism that we're really looking for here. You know? Okay, detour is over. We can finally get back to finishing this thing, getting it all together, seeing the fruits of our labor. The flowers of our garden. And thanks to my decision to make these new petals smaller and thinner, I could then use the original paper petals that I made to fill in directly around my face. Because, yeah, that's kind of what a dandelion looks like. It has these longer exterior petals, and moving towards the middle, the petals get denser but also shorter. So, you know, I'm taking this very, very seriously. Can you not see? This is basically a real dandelion. But then, in the last stretch, terror, danger, I got my finger directly on the hot glue, and it burnt my finger, and I got a blister, and it was really upsetting. Really, guys, I beg, learn from my mistakes. You need to be careful when using hot glue. It's hot.
I am become Dandelion! Spot the difference. 99% of people who play fail.